Good morning. Today I'd like to talk about Emmanuel Mounier. He was what's called a personalist philosopher, which means he kind of made up his own category. He was born in Grenoble in 1905, and he originally studied at University of Grenoble, trying to get a degree in medicine. But then as he took courses, he switched over to philosophy, and he found that it was a very anti-religious type of thinking going on in the university. It made him almost stronger in his Catholic faith as he tried seeing the fact of the wisdom behind it. But he also was a critic of some of the spiritualism of the established church. His hero was a guy named Charles Picquet. This was a Catholic poet and an activist who struggled to define the brand of religious socialism, able to combine mysticism and political thought. Mounier called his own approach personalism, and he actually has a book by that name. I've ordered it, so I'm hoping to get a little more of this fellow. But basically, he sees the human being able to transcend, and he sees the main world just totally thrown off. He's got a quote about the bourgeois, meaning the upper class of people. He says their altar is basically comfort. That's the ultimate motive for all of their action. And it makes for a very flat life. It doesn't make for the depth that we can experience. He's very critical, obviously, of the society. He's critical of communism because he just doesn't think they've got the right idea at all. So while he seems a critic of all, he seems to value the person so much. And so much so that he doesn't fit, obviously, so his career as academic ends, and he goes and makes his own newspaper called L'Esprit, and this is in 1932, and he starts pushing out this whole idea of how the person is important. He also got connected with that Catholic movement. I don't remember the exact title of it, but what it basically was is they wanted the church to be more involved with those who are suffering. And a lot of the suffering was happening actually in industry, where these guys were working so hard and getting so little that there was a movement in France in which priests would actually leave the pastor or the rectory, and they'd go to work in factories alongside these guys, and they got great perspective from doing it. Now that ran into trouble with the church and their whole definition of what priests are supposed to do, but nonetheless, the whole idea of accompaniment and walking with those who hurt was a very significant movement, and he captured this very well. This paper that got out did a lot of good to kind of spread the concept of personalism, of being involved not just in terms of praying and being holy, but actually being with the people who do these things and walking with them. During the war, he was a part of the resistance, the French resistance. He got caught. He was in prison for 11 months, and he suffered physically quite badly. But while he's doing it, he's still working on his philosophy. And this is an independent type of spiritual and social engagement. And as a result, he gets blasted by both the right and the left. People are always on one side or another, and neither of them like this fellow. And yet, it kind of opens up a whole new line of thinking that can take us away from the entrapment of our normal thing of either just seeking comfort and a good time, or being so rigid in our faith rights and doctrine that we can't encapture the person and reach out to those who are in need. I think he has something. I am looking forward to the book. I'm hoping to get insight. He is the one that inspired Dorothy Day and Peter Mon in that Catholic worker movement. Basically, Peter Mon came over from France. He was undocumented, so for those that are against the illegals, he was one. But they started the Catholic worker movement, Dorothy Day being the real activist in it, Peter being the more of the thinking person of that, or driving the ideas behind it. And all of this was started with the thinkings and understandings from Emmanuel Mounier, that we should be with and be helping those who are hurting. Sounds like a good way to try. Let's try doing that. Bye.